Mr. President. In the South, there have been thousands of racially motivated murders. We need your help.
Dr. King, this thing's just gonna have to wait.
It cannot wait.
You got one big issue, I got 101.
We must march. We must stand up.
You march those people into rural Alabama, it's gotta be open season.
This revolution goes on and on.
King's life is so episodic in nature. He had so many chapters that are so robust. You know, you can do it as a cradle to the grave, birth to death, but I thought it was just really intriguing to take a slice of his life. And this particular slice, Selma, was fascinating to me because he's at the height of his powers. He's already won the Nobel Prize. He's already given the I Have a Dream speech. He could have done anything at that moment. He could have, you know, gone into the White House and worked as a liaison, as he was invited to do by President Johnson. He could have gone on a book tour and been a rock star, you know? But he decided to go back and work with the people in the streets in a small town in the Deep South called Selma that no one had ever heard of.
Selma it is.
Here is the next great battle.
Selma's the place, and they ready.
The Selma campaign marked a very dramatic episode within the 13 years that he was the leader of that movement. People died during that campaign. A Bloody Sunday happened during that campaign. 70 million Americans saw those images, which is what brought thousands of people to Selma, a sleepy town in Alabama, to demonstrate and protest together. It was black, white, young and old, and Lyndon Johnson was compelled to change the law. So it's a very vibrant moment, not just in his life, but in the civil rights movement and within America. So we just felt it was very ripe ground for drama.
Oh, my Lord. What you got us into, woman? We got 128 miles to come to our senses, gentlemen.
Hush. This here's the place we need to be.
I can only imagine. Decent-looking place to die, though.
We try to just set up what kind of film you're going to see, and we ask you to go along for the ride at the very beginning. We were looking right at the top to just say, this is not what you think it is. You know, you're going to engage with this. You're going to have an emotional reaction to this. Watch this.
What I do know is he's nonviolent. What I need to know right now, what's Martin Luther King about to do next?
Mr. President, Dr. King is here.
I had always felt that if I was afforded the opportunity to play Dr. King in this film, the toughest challenge was, how do we find the man behind the veil? We all have a sense of who he was in the pulpit, in front of cameras, giving an interview, or leading a march.
Looks like an army out there.
What we don't know is who he was in a situation with his children, with his wife, with his friends.
People actually say they're gonna kill our children.
It's just making him a human being. And once we stopped thinking of King as a statue, as a speech, as an icon, as a holiday, we got to the crux of this is just a character who's like any other character in any other film that we would want to make fully formed. And so by getting away from the iconography, David and I just approached it like we would any other role. It was important that he cry, that he laugh, that he take out the trash for his wife. I mean, it seems weird because it's Dr. King, but ultimately, he's an ordinary man who did great things.
As an actor, you are looking for roles that show an arc of transformation. Put aside the Dr. King of it all for a moment. You want to see a protagonist who is one way at the beginning, and by the end, he or she, they are changed. And I truly believe we go to the movies to see ourselves. You want to hitch your wagon to a protagonist who you place yourself in their shoes and you find yourself asking yourself, what would I do?
You all deliberately causing an obstruction. You don't disperse, you're gonna be arrested. I promise you.
Sheriff Clark, we're trying to gain access to the registration office, which is our legal right.
There's too many of you. You know damn well there is. Now, y'all just gonna have to wait at the rear.
No, Sheriff Clark. We're going in the front. We're gonna wait right here. Segregation is now illegal in this country, sir.
To put that very real personal journey for him as an individual against a backdrop, which is a shifting, changing America. You know, JFK has not long been assassinated. LBJ comes into power. He has passed the Civil Rights Act. The last thing he wants to do is pass the Voting Rights Act within 12 to 18 months of doing that. There's a lot of pressure on everyone within this time. And so again, just a vibrant backdrop to which to basically have a movie set.
History is exciting if it's approached in that way, and so it wasn't daunting. It was a challenge. I don't like historical dramas, yet I was asked to direct one, so I had to deconstruct for myself, what do I not like about these? This patina of respectability, this distance of like everything was okay at that time. It wasn't. These were people that were getting their hands dirty. They were radicals. It's a beautiful time, and so we were just looking to just bring all that nuance to the surface. Let there be some grit. Let there be some texture, and that's what we attempted to do. And I think people are reacting to it in a really strong way that I think proves that we're onto something.
As long as I am unable to exercise my constitutional right to vote, I do not have command of my own life. I cannot determine my own destiny, for it is determined for me by people who would rather see me suffer than succeed. Those that have gone before us say, no more, no more.
I've never really thought of myself as a method actor, but for this, I felt I had to stay in character for the duration of the shoot. It was something that really came to mind having worked with Daniel Day-Lewis on Lincoln. I was in just the one scene with him, but it was undeniable, the effect on not just him, but everyone around him of just feeling like that was Abraham Lincoln. I mean, he was the actorly equivalent of a time machine. I just felt like I was in 1865 for being around him. And I felt if I was afforded the opportunity to play Dr. King, that was something I had to do.
We will not wait any longer. Give us the vote.
That's right. No more.
We're not asking, we're demanding. Give us the vote.
And the byproduct of it was you don't second guess your choices when you're living with a character in your bones day in, day out. You're not thinking, oh, what would he do? Because you kind of know, because you're in his head for all that time.
May I have a word?
There's no word to be had.
I think the balance of the epic and the intimate is what I'm very interested in. You know, civil rights movement, so huge. We can top line the facts of it and think that we know, but not until you get to the humanity of it, that you know what a baton feels like against a body and what it does to the face and the spirit. Do you actually understand the risk that was taken in the civil rights movement? Not until you start to break down these macro events to the micro do we get real understanding. That's what interests me most as a storyteller.
Wonder what old Don will say when I tell him one of his gals down here stirring a fuss.
I ain't stirring no fuss. I'm just here trying to register to vote.
It's important that we know where we've been. All of us know where we've been to know where we're going. I think so often we can kind of just top-line history. Things are homogenized for 2 or 3 talking points. But there's just so much beauty in the depth of it that it's, you know, shame on us for not remembering what's happened, you know, whether it's about the civil rights movement or everyone's own individual history. There's value in remembering. There's value in legacy. It teaches us where we are now and how to move forward. And so that was our mission.
How many county judges in Alabama?
67.
Name them.
My hope is that people will watch the film and see the very compelling, thrilling reality of love being a weapon in the face of hate, non-violence not being a weak disposition, but one that actually forces those who are prejudiced to take a look in the mirror.
You know, it's easy for us to say, oh, they were nonviolent, they believed in peace. But when you know what they were actually risking, what they were up against, guns pointed at them, horses, tear gas, running over them, suffocating them, batons beating them, it makes nonviolence rise up to what it really was, the most spectacular act of courage and strength. So often we think of nonviolence as passive, but when you're facing that kind of aggression, it is one of the strongest things that you can do. And so that's what I learned from making this film. I hope that's what people see when they go and check out Selma.